Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you how I decorate a simple Christmas horse-shaped gingerbread cookie. At the same time, we'll go over 3 basic icing consistencies that I use in my work. For decorating, I use 3 main icing consistencies: outline, medium, and flood. Each one serves a specific purpose, and this directly affects how neat the finished cookie looks. The outline consistency should hold its shape well. If you dip a spoon into the icing and then lift it out, the icing left on the spoon should form a soft peak. The medium consistency is more flexible. It doesn't flow off the spoon right away but stays on it. If you gently shake the spoon, the icing starts to wiggle and dance without falling immediately. When it finally breaks off, it leaves a small V-shaped mark on the spoon, a characteristic little tail. And finally, the most fluid one, the flood consistency. It flows easily in a thin stream and quickly levels out on the surface. So I've prepared all 3 consistencies and transferred the icing into piping bags. That's exactly what we'll be working with today. And I cut the cookies using cutters that I designed myself. I create all of these cutters for my own designs and save them as STL files. I'll leave links to these cutters in the video description. Now let's move on to the decorating process itself. I start by piping the outline. At this stage, it's important to keep the line steady and confident without jerky movements, aiming to follow the edge of the cookie as closely as possible. The flood consistency levels itself nicely and creates a smooth, even surface. I just slightly help it along and speed up the process by guiding it with the tip of the piping bag. Right now, I'm showing a short close-up so you can see how it behaves. After the flood layer has completely dried, I transferred the design and now move on to detailing. I outline the design using the medium consistency. Its thickness works well at this stage. The lines stay clean without looking too rigid. For this kind of detailed outlining, a thicker outline consistency isn't necessary. The medium consistency is perfectly sufficient. I work on the horse's details using the medium consistency. It's well suited for this kind of work because it allows me to create volume without the icing spreading on the surface. When working with icing, I always follow a simple principle, especially when decorating character designs. I start with the elements that are farther away and finish with those closer to the viewer. This approach helps keep the decoration neat and makes it look more realistic. Before flooding areas next to ones that are already filled, I always allow a short drying time. This helps the elements keep clean edges and prevents the icing from spreading. If you skip this step, even a fairly thick medium consistency can lose definition, and the icing may flow together into one blended area. Here I've shown the main icing consistencies I work with. I cover the recipe and more detailed information in a separate lesson, and I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. Before moving on to the final decoration of the horse, the icing needs to dry completely, so I leave the cookie until it's fully set. I decorate the star using the same colors as the horse. I flood the hat with the same medium consistency. For filling the star itself, I slightly thin the medium consistency icing with water. This area doesn't require volume. Instead, the icing needs to spread into a perfectly even layer. A thinner consistency gives a smooth, clean surface and also makes the flooding process easier and faster. Next, I move on to shading the cookie using dry food colorings. I'm not an artist and I don't follow strict shading rules. I usually work intuitively or use a reference as a guide. For shading the horse, I choose colors that are a few shades darker than the base colors of the cookie. I apply the shading mainly along the edges to emphasize the shape and volume, while keeping the central areas lighter and mostly untouched. This makes the cookie look more dimensional and lively. For shading, I use a dry food coloring palette by Petal Crafts. If you're curious about the products I'm using, you'll find the link to this palette in the description. I apply dry colorings using light movements without pressing on the brush. I build up the shading gradually, carefully enhancing the shape. At this stage, I add subtle accents to the mane and tail to enhance the shape and give the details more depth. I work very delicately without overdoing it to keep the decoration clean and light. At the very end, I outline the entire figure created with icing and carefully go over the borders between the details within the icing design, gently separating the elements. To give the cookie a Christmas feel, I add a few decorative accents. On the side, I draw small snowflakes and complement them with a scatter of tiny dots. These light details make the design feel festive without overwhelming the overall look. I add snowflakes to the wooden rocking base in the same way, spacing them at roughly equal distances from each other so the decoration looks balanced. At the very end, I finish with small decorative dots to tie all the elements together. I shade the star in the same way, adding darker tones along the edges while keeping the center lighter. Then I draw the eyes and the mouth and add a touch of blush. To finish, I decorate the hat with a snowflake and a scatter of tiny dots. At the very end, I add the trim on the hat and the pom-pom. I didn't pipe them earlier so that the white icing wouldn't get stained during the shading process. This is how the cookies look in the end. The decoration turned out light, cozy, and a bit whimsical with a childlike holiday mood. I wanted to convey a feeling of winter warmth and celebration. I hope I managed to do that. What do you think of this decoration? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for spending this time with me and watching the video until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable and inspiring. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new uploads. See you next time.